all the shepherds of our own thoughts. About the middle of last year, I was looking through my journal and flipping through it, and I found a quote that I wrote inside there. All that we achieve and all that we fail to achieve is a direct result of our own thoughts. It's pretty powerful. See, I was at a point in my life where I just had so many things that were so important to me, right? As many of you do. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I have a career. I'm an athlete. I'm a writer and part-time speaker. I have all these things that are so important. You ever feel like you're just juggling, right? Something's going to fall off at any minute. And so I made the comparison that all these thoughts in my head, they're running around crazy. They're like little white fuzzy sheep. And I needed to find a way to be a better shepherd of those sheep. So what's the relationship between a shepherd and a sheep? He's completely accountable to his sheep, right? Their lives are completely intertwined. And the same is true with our ideas. Our ideas grow into our actions, and our actions grow into our habits. And our habits define everything about us. And I wanted to find a way to become a better manager of all those different things that are important to me so nothing fell off the table. And so I opened my journal up, and at the top I wrote, my own thoughts. And I began a list. I will wake up every day and do one thing for my wife and for my son and for my daughter. I will not spend money outside my family budget. I'm a finisher. I finish what I start. And I filled up the page, and when I got it full, I said, what do I do with this? I don't even know, how many times we've written something on a sheet of paper and then we throw it on the desk, or, we have a big cup of coffee and we're all fired up, and then it falls off into the floor and we never come back to it. And so I looked through my past experiences to try to find something that would help me put a system in place. So in the spring of 2001, over the dark skies of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, it was 1:30 in the morning. And 13 Air Force C-17s came roaring through the night sky. Up front, the pilots had spent the last several minutes descending down to just 800 feet above the ground. They just made the last turn to line up with Sicily Drop Zone, the largest man-made drop zone in the world. 60 seconds of green light. If you climbed out of the cockpit into the back in the cargo bay, you would see 100 combat-equipped paratroopers all standing, facing the rear of the aircraft. At the rear of the aircraft, a door on each side, completely open to the night sky. A jumpmaster on the right door had just taken control of the door, and he ran his hand down the trailing edge to check for any sharp edges that might cut the static lines when he went out. And he grabbed both sides of the door, and he put a foot out on the platform, and he leaned out into the night sky. He's looking behind the jet to see if any of the other jets are out of formation, if any of them are low, because he's about to start feeling that portion of the sky with human beings, paratroopers. As he rotated back inside, he gave a thumbs up to the jumpmaster on the other door, and he said, "Stand by." And the number one jumper took a step forward and slid his static line on the anchor line cable. Now he could tell that jumper was scared, and I know that night that jumper was scared because that was me. And I stood there, main parachute on my back, my reserve parachute on my front, my rucksack hanging down below full of batteries and food and clothes. On my left side, my M4 rifle with an M203 grenade launcher. A helmet on my head, my night vision goggles around my neck, and my face completely blacked out with green and black camouflage. Just the whites of my eyes looking at that 800-foot drop out the door. The tall pine trees of Fort Bragg were flying by at 150 miles an hour, and I saw the edge of the drop zone come in, and the green light came on, and the jumpmaster yelled, "Go!" And I took all that fear, and I accelerated and launched out into the night sky. For those of you who are wondering, it went okay. I made it. I want to draw your attention to something important about this. It's not everything that you see, but the things that take place before a giant airborne operation like this. 6 hours before that, all 1,300 of those paratroopers stood in a great open grass field. And we primed. We talked about everything that happens for that jump. Entanglements with the aircraft, entanglements with other jumpers, getting hung up in the trees. What do we do if we land in the water? What do we do if we go out and our main parachute doesn't deploy? You know how long it takes a human body to fall 800 feet? 8 seconds. 8 seconds from the time you go out the door. I think we can all agree that those 8 seconds are not the time to be learning how to be a paratrooper. Those 8 seconds are the time to act, to take action. I'm not in the Army anymore. I fly now. And every single time before we leave on a flight, we sit at the gate and we talk about the taxiway out to the runway, what runway we're going to use. What emergencies are we going to abort for below 80 knots in the low-speed regime? What about the high-speed regime? We only abort at high speeds for big problems. What if we have a fire? Which way do we turn when we take off to avoid mountains in the clouds? The reason we do this is because it's important. When you're screaming down the runway at 150 miles an hour before they'll even fly, 53,000-pound, $24 million jet full of human beings, the fan blades on the engines are turning at almost 16,000 RPM. The fire in the engine burning at over 1,400 degrees. Our eyes are outside and inside and outside and inside, and our hands are on the controls, and our minds are primed for action because those few seconds are precious. Those are not the seconds to be learning how to be a pilot. And the same is true for our life. We get up every day and we go through our day, and we have all these things that we have to do and decide and take action on. 2 things I want to give to you today. Make a list somewhere in your journal of your most important thoughts and keep up with it, all right? Make this list. It doesn't have to be things that you are living up to now, but define yourself, your most important thoughts. What do you want to be? And the second thing is every single day when you wake up, make that the first place you go. The very first place. Spend your first 4 minutes of every day with your own thoughts. Because when you make that effort, when you're willing to align your mind early in the morning with your very own most important thoughts, your actions are going to get aligned with your goals. And that is called progress. Thank you, guys.